the Chiefs finally addressed the center position with some talent in this past draft. It's something that Ryan and I have been talking about pretty much since the entire season. We did not believe that there was enough talent at center on the roster. The Chiefs finally went out. They drafted Creed Humphrey at 63 overall in the draft. He's going to be, in my opinion, their plug and play starter week one. I do believe he has not only the talent, but the mental capacity to step into this offensive line and know what to do. There are multiple reasons why I believe this. We're going to get into some of the film here, but first, I want to just welcome everyone back to RGR Football channel on YouTube. I appreciate your guys' support. Ryan and I both really appreciate it. And with this video, we finally kick off the post-draft analysis with our videos and our film breakdown. So I'm doing Creed Humphrey. He's going to have Nick Bolton next week. And here we go. Let's go ahead and jump in. All right. So first thing that I want to talk about with Creed Humphrey is he's been calling plays for the last 3 years. All 3 years of these last 3 years, he has been the signal caller. Oklahoma does not actually involve their quarterback in any coverage callouts or blitz callouts. So he does all of that by himself. He has to line everybody up himself, and he has to make sure everyone's in the best position to succeed. So if a blitzer comes through clean and no one gets him, that's on him. And that doesn't happen very often. I can tell you that very much. So the first thing we're going to start off with is the biggest thing that jumps off screen when I watch him are his eyes. And I want you to just watch this play through, and you'll notice exactly what I'm talking about, because he just flips to it immediately. He knows exactly where he's going and what he's doing. So you're going to see here, he's going to jump to the left side of the screen because that's where he's going to be jumping to, or excuse me, that's where he's reading. His first read is number 5. Okay, so let's slow this down a little bit, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Because he jumped 5, now squares up almost on the inside shading shoulder of this guard. So he might come down this, so Creed has to pay attention to that. So eyes there first, especially because the guard's pulling. So eyes here. Immediately he steps right at him. He's got a very good base, and let's go ahead and just kind of open this up a little bit. So you can see as he steps out towards this defensive tackle, eyes right on him. So that's what he's doing right here. This is perfect. You can see he's got a very good base. His shoulders are square, eyes at the defensive tackle. Guards coming around. They do a lot of this at Oklahoma where they pull guards and tackles a lot from right to left. They block down a lot, and they even run different counters off of it. So you could be going any which way with the backfield, and he has to know exactly where he's going. So as you can see, and as soon as number 5 here start to come around here, that his eyes immediately go at 90. The only other person that could possibly be in this play. The way that he processes, it's so quick, and his eyes, they move from the target to his next target so well that he just immediately is able to process and get to his next read so quickly, and boom, there. Because this hole's supposed to open up, so he's got to just make sure this wall's off, and that's exactly what he does. And the best thing about him is that not only is he a quick processor, but here in this position with 90 inside of his chest with his helmet, he's going to put him in the ground. He's going to put him in the ground with a little bit of help from the tackle here, but still, like, you're seeing what he does and what the things that we talked about with his wrestling background. They show up here because he understands leverage so well, and he can move defensive tackles, defensive ends in position, even linebackers in positions they don't want to be in, because he has a natural understanding of where the body is, where the leverage is in terms of they have too much weight forward. If he has too much weight forward and he can push people around without having a ton of functional strength, that's something he's still going to work on in the NFL. But he doesn't have a lot of inline positional strength, functional strength, excuse me, where he can just get his hands on the guy and just bulldoze him out of the way. That's not what he's good at. It's not what he's best at. But his understanding and hand usage is really what it comes down to. And I think that when we just kind of go back and watch this play all the way through, you really appreciate how quickly he has to process this stuff and how quickly he does it. He moves so well from one to the other that it's just an impressive thing for me, really. I think it's one of the most impressive things about any of the centers that I watched in this draft class. And it's not even just like at that point of attack there that we just watched in this play, but when he's moving as well, his eyes are never just where he's supposed to be. So here he's going to block down with the guard, but it's, you want to see he's coming in on any linebackers. He's looking any which way. He's going to block down, but he's still looking because he knows that someone's going to be coming through a gap to try to get to this running back coming off here. And when you're able to see what's happening, while it's literally happening and not just focus in on everything as it's going on in your mind and right there. So he turns, you can already see his head is turning so he can see this linebacker coming up, try to get into this gap. Obviously just ignore everything else that happens on the play because it's not going to be what we're focusing on. This right here, you have everything going one way with this double. But again, he's always able to readjust his body, shift his hips, which is extremely important to being able to play center at the athleticism that he does. And he's able to come back around, stop, and get back into this gap and stop that linebacker from being anything. Just pushes him out of the way. He does that routinely, and he does it very successfully just about whenever he wants to. So he's just a ton of fun to watch in the sense that when he gets going one way, he can stop and come back the other way with his footwork and his hips and his eyes. All of it works in unison, and he can do a lot of things that way. Again, we're just going to keep focusing on his eyes because it's a very important thing that we have to really take into account when playing the center position. A lot of the issues that I had with Austin Ryder as a center is that I personally don't think he was the most comfortable calling out protections, and I don't think that he always knew where everyone was coming from. I know that Creed Humphrey is going to know exactly what to do there because he's able to process. Again, eyes up, sees zero coming down to this gap here, gets on him. It doesn't matter. He can always do it. He can always get there, and he always does get there. He's able to just do so much with his footwork. Again, having that quick base and his feet under him and his hips in unison with his his knees and his shoulders allow him to do things a lot of other setters can't do because he can move so well. And again, I really love watching him play because not only is he gonna be man, he's just so much fun to watch, isn't he? Like that play right there is what you want to see from a center. Like ideally, I love the blocking down. You're going to see a lot of 4-3 fronts in the NFL as well. And one thing that Big 12 defenses do a lot of, they do a lot of stunts. They do a ton of twists and stunts up front. And one thing we saw a lot of too with that interior offensive line last year and the year before and the year before that is they don't take on stunts very well. They lose guys in the process of the stunt and they typically can't find them. But this is one guy who is not going to lose anybody in a stunt. He's always very keen. He's always in the film room, and he's always in the best position with his mind. Now, this again is not only his best position with his mind, but he pushes 93 to help and get back into this lane. So he pushes 93 off the way. Now he squares up on this linebacker, right? So you have him pushed out of the way. You have your running back coming out to the right, his right, and now you square up on this linebacker. So you've got to do what you can to get him out of the way. Obviously, you want to get to the next level, and he moves so seamlessly to the next level. It's just so much fun to watch him go from where he's at into the next level. So here he goes. Right there. Good form into his chest a little bit. You have a little bit on the outside, but he understands his hand positioning very well. That's one thing about Humphrey is that even if he gets his hands on the outside a little bit, which he can tend to do, he's able to move them around, and most importantly is torque his lower half to get you into the ground right here. This is the most impressive thing. Like it's just a little tiny push on the lower back because he's got leverage up here and he knows that you're moving backwards against him, so he can now push you to the ground because he understands the body and the way people are moving so well. Look at that. He just falls to the ground, stands over him too, just to go on to the next level. Like he's so much fun to watch. And being able to get out in space is one thing, but being able to do all of that while you're moving in space and get there, and then push a guy over without having to really truly dominate him, you still dominate him in that aspect. So he's just so much fun to watch. And I think that he doesn't get enough credit for the mental aspect because he's probably the smartest offensive lineman in this draft. I truly believe that. And the way that you you watch him study. He did an interview with Brendan Thorne that I watched, and the way that he talks about the game and the way that he comes out and he says, when we studied them and or this team or that team when they did their stunts and that they were prepared for those stunts, and that's one thing that he's not going to ever. He's never not going to be. He's always going to be prepared. He's going to be in the film room and he's going to be learning as much as he possibly can. And that's what I absolutely love about his work ethic. And then you just got things like that where he's just so good at physically, not even just like physically dominating you, but you see here, he's just that innate understanding. Again, the more to that wrestling background, he sees the weight in front of this defensive tackle. If he can get to the side of him and just push him down from the back, like he's just into the ground. He does this a lot too, where he can get out of the way of a defensive tackle trying to hit him head on, and he pushes him into the ground. He's very intelligent with that aspect. It's something that you don't see a whole lot of at the next level, really, from centers being able to move out of the way and then push guys to the ground. He's going to try to get a defensive tackle who's squared up on him or even shaded. If he can step in front of him, he's going to try and get him to the ground. And that's what you love to see. It's just so much fun to watch Humphrey play the position. And I know that a lot of people don't appreciate offensive line play, but this is one thing that you can really appreciate is the fact that, he studies everything so well, and watching him not just bully people, but he bullies people differently than you expect. And that's just fun to watch. I do have one real area of concern with him. I do think that at the next level with teams that run a three, a 3-4 ish, or get a defensive tackle lined up on him in pass rush situations, or even in the run game, this might happen a little bit at times. I think that he can be pushed around a little bit, and you can see when the defensive tackle got inside of him a little bit and was able to move around. That's where you can really see it come to fruition. And one thing, we want to go backwards, not forwards at that. I think that right here, you see the extension. If you can get Humphrey up on his haunches and get his shoulders up a little bit, that's where you're going to be able to win that matchup. And I think that that's the biggest issue that I have had with his tape. And I know that we talked a lot about his Senior Bowl footage from in the live stream for the draft, but it's one area of concern, and I voiced it heavily because when you're going from the Big 12 to the NFL, there's going to be a lot of defensive tackles that are stronger than you. But I do think he can overcome a lot of that being put in situations where he doesn't necessarily have to deal with the defensive tackle on him all the time, and they won't have to. They're also going to use Tooney and either LDT Smith or Long, whoever's going to be playing right guard, to help him out in these instances, because I think he can get bullied a little bit right there. He just uses the defense tackle uses his right arm to really kind of pull him through. And I think the push pull in the NFL, guys that have better pass rush moves like that are going to be able to take advantage of him right now. But he's a rookie. He's going to get better at that, and he's going to understand how to use that against him and not have to really lunge himself out so much and forward. That's where you're going to see improvement going forward. That's the one area that I do think he's going to need to improve in the NFL. Now, this is, again, going back to the very beginning of the video, Creed calls out everything. So here, obviously, this is it looks like it's a 6-man blitz, right? You have 19 even coming down in the box. So the possibility that he could come is always a threat too. So one thing that Humphrey does very well is get everyone lined up and on the same page. You're going to see this blitz come through, and look, Rattler still has time to get the ball out and on time. If you give Mahomes that much time on a blitz, guess what's going to happen? He's going to carve everybody up. He does it even when he doesn't have all that much time. So, I mean, we're looking right here at a 2-man A-gap blitz from this defense. And one thing that Humphrey does very well and that he prefers to do is get this blitz lined up so he doesn't have to worry about the running back having to come over here to this gap. If you can just line them up here and here, that's what you want to do. So you have your man, I've got him, you're going to take him, you him, and you him. It's just hat on a hat, and it makes everything so much easier. So that's one thing he talked about too, is that he prefers to try to not force the running back to have to come across the offensive line to get a block. If he could just get into this gap and be what he is, or line him up, if he's on the right, make sure he stays on the right, however it happens. That's what he prefers to do. But yeah, this blitz does nothing. They try to just come down here, and this is a really good job by the running back here to get on this linebacker. Obviously, Humphrey does a good job here. Everyone blocks down. They give Rattler enough time, and it all works out because they're all on the exact same page. I mean, look at this. You even with that, they help. He bails out. You have this guy coming here. This guard here does a good job of helping inside while keeping his eyes on this guy that could have been blitzing. And then you have him coming off the edge. So they did a good job of making it look like it was going to be a 6-man blitz, and again making it turning into just a 4-man job. But again, you're all in the right positions here. So even with the guard keeping his eyes here, the running back comes up and does a very good job. Humphrey takes the guy in the A gap. So they wanted to get both A gap pressures into that blitz. But when you're all on the same page, because you've been lined up by the center, you don't have to worry about this being an issue because they did a very good job of reading it, understanding it, and being on the same page. All because Creed Humphrey told them what he was going to do. And look at that. He didn't even do anything. That blitzer wasn't able to do anything. So, and that's one of the big areas that is going to improve the entire offensive line and the chemistry. It's important that they get in there early and really work on that, because him getting the calls down first and foremost is what's going to help the offensive line the most. Get that chemistry going early. Creed Humphrey is my he's kind of like my spirit animal, man. I tell you what, the way that he handles people, I figured we should end this video with one of the things that he does best, and it's getting guys on the ground. I didn't realize how often he got people on the ground. And if you just watch him play, he shouldn't be able to, but he's trying to take 59 here, who is almost head up on the guard. Again, they're doing a zone blocking to his left, so he's got to get in front of him here, and he's trying to basically get across the face here because you want to get into this side and then turn your hips towards the sideline, so you're facing this way and blocking him from being able to get anywhere. But instead, he takes the advantage of coming across his face and seeing that 59 is trying to get inside. So he takes him, puts his head on his head, and then just throws him to the ground. All about that leverage right there. You can see him lifting with his inside hand, or his inside, his left arm here. He's lifting while also holding onto his back. So that's one thing. Again, continuously understanding leverage and being able to bench press and then lift you the other way. He's very, very good at that. And then you always end with a little stare down, because why not? When you show a guy, a defensive tackle, that you were just manhandled, then you stand over him a little bit. Why not? I feel like Creed does this almost every time he takes a guy to the ground. He finds a way to get a little tiny bit of a, guess what, I just did that kind of feel to it. And he's very, very, very fun to watch. I cannot emphasize enough just how much fun I have watching Creed Humphrey play the position of center. I do have my concerns, and I think that we're going to see that early on in his career in the NFL a little bit with that contact strength. But again, the functional strength, I think he's going to get there eventually. And the fact that he has such a good understanding of what he's doing is going to help him all the more. And the Chiefs definitely added talent at the center position in this draft. Could not pass him up at 63. I didn't think he was going to fall that far. But here we are. The Chiefs have their starting center for the next 5+ years, however long they want to keep him on the team. He's going to be their starting center. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Get a little inside look at the Chiefs' newest starting center, in my opinion. I believe he will start week 1 as their center, and he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. You're going to see this a lot more, and that's more than we've seen in the last 3 years. And I can't wait till you guys get to watch him doing this in the real game in the NFL, because even though he's going up a competition level from the Big 12 here to the NFL, he's going to be able to do this because he has such a good understanding of it. So you can tell that I'm very excited about his addition to this team. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I appreciate it. Ryan and I really, really appreciate the support during the draft, and this is going to be a fun ride. The season is almost here, really, when you think about it. They got training camp coming up, and then it's going to be the season. So just prepare. Ryan and I are going to have a ton of stuff for you guys, and honestly, I can't wait to show you guys what we have in the works. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I want you to understand how much we appreciate you guys and the support that you give us. So again, like, sub, bell notification, as Ryan always says, and you guys have a great day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.